Hi everybody, welcome back to Charming Data. I hope you had a wonderful week and a great holiday. I hope you spent some good time with your family and got some practice building analytic web apps in Python. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create the tooltip in the Dash DataTable. The tooltip is very important because it can give your app users some more information about what is on the page, specifically what is in this data table, right? So I can either put the tooltip that describes exactly what's on the page, or I can put my own text in the tooltip. You see, I'm putting supplier since 1994, although the header is different. I'm also going to show you how to put gifs inside your tooltip if the supplier is late or if they're on their way. Kind of cool and funny. I'm also going to show you how to build a tooltip for this, for text that is cut, because you don't want the columns too wide. So it will put a text of all the tooltip of all the text here. And also this tooltip that uses an advanced mathematical algorithm of column A minus column B. And it'll just show you, see how the numbers change, 10, 7, it just does this minus this, and it shows what machines are, how many are missing, or whatever you have it. Just a conditional tooltip between two columns. Okay, so to do this, what I would recommend is do a few things. First of all, go into my GitHub, and inside the GitHub, which is under the video, open this link, the data table link, open tooltip, and this click on the datatable.tooltip.py, copy paste all this code, put it inside your Python IDE, and just run it so we can do this together, and it's a lot easier to follow along. I'm using data that I just made up about like medical supplies. You can download it from my Google Drive under the video, or you don't even have to, because right now it's calling from the GitHub URL, all right, which is right here inside the GitHub. Okay, lastly, open these two URL pages, these websites. This is from Dash. This is what the tutorial is all about. We're going to go over all these parameters so you can get a better idea of what these means. And I'm going to go over most of these samples here so you get an idea of how to build these examples and how to work with these parameters. Also, this is a very important page. This gives you the reference. This is right here, the reference of all the different parameters and a deeper explanation of what each parameter means, specifically these 6, if you want to look them up and see more information about them. All right, so let's get started. Let's build this together. If you have any questions about the information in this tutorial, feel free to add your comments below. If you have any suggestions, also send them along, and I'll make sure to read them and see if I can make this tutorial better. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is import all this libraries, which is really just Dash and Pandas. Just pip install Dash and pip install Pandas if you don't have them. We're reading this information into the Pandas data frame, this CSV data. We're going to start our app, and the app is pretty much it's just the layout, just a Dash data table that starts here and ends at the very end right here, and then we run our app. Okay, so as you already know by now, this is how you create your data table. We're going to loop over the columns so you can create all the columns, and then we're going to loop over we're going to read all the data frame rows into a dictionary so you can have all the data inside those columns. If this is Chinese to you, you don't know what this means, just go into the video above my head, click on it. It's Introduction to the Dash Data Table. It'll give you a nice introduction to what all this means and how to build and start the Dash Data Table from scratch if you don't have any knowledge. Okay, this is typically something that you will see, the style cell, the text overflow ellipsis. You will see this typically when there's a lot of text and you don't want to see all the text, because if you saw all the text in this cell, then the column cell would be very, very wide. So to make this neat and aesthetically aesthetic, then you do ellipsis, and then it will just stop the text after a certain point. Okay. So that is always there, just copy paste if you want. And now let's go into the first two parameters of the Dash data table, the delay and the duration. Again, you can read more about them here. The delay, oops, let's go back. The delay and the duration here. But it's pretty much what they say, what you read, right? The tooltip delay just means how much you want the tooltip to the app to delay before the tooltip appears. Right now it's 0, so it's pretty much immediate. I hover, you'll see a tooltip. And it will stay there forever. You see, supplier since 1994, it's just there until I move away from my mouse, or until I just drop dead. It's just going to still be there. So if you want to change that, let's delay by 1000 milliseconds. And then let's do only 2 seconds, right? So if I do this, now it will take 1 second to show up, 1 Mississippi, and then 2 seconds to disappear, right? Same thing here. 1 Mississippi, 1, 2, disappears. All right, so that's what you can do with the delay and the duration parameters if you want. Make sure to put none if you don't want any, if you want it to be there forever, just put none. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, let's hashtag this out, the conditional content in cells. Let's hashtag this out. This is a bit more complicated. We'll do this later. And now hashtag this back in the tooltip data. All right. So the tooltip data, what we're doing here is this parameter statistically defines the tooltip for each row and column. So you can decide what row you want the tooltip on. In this case, we're going to do it for all rows and for all columns, because this is very important. Remember the format. You have to know the format in order to do this well. The format of the tooltip data is a list, right? Inside the list, you have dictionaries. Each dictionary represents a row, right? So we're saying here for row in dfdict records, right? And it's going to loop over each one of these rows. Let's actually see what this is. Row. Let's print the row. Break it. And then let's just exit for now. See what we get. So this first row in the df records is actually this. You see, it's a full dictionary of the first row of the column name is the key of the dictionary, and then the value is the value of that column. Machine A 435, machine B 425, C machine A 435, machine B 425, and so on until feedback, and then it stops because we broke it here. All right, but so this is what we're doing here. Here it's not stopping. Here we're looping over all rows, and we're creating like 20 different dictionaries because there's about 20 different rows. And inside each one of these rows, we're looping over all the information inside of there, right? We're going to take four row, column value right here. Column value is the first one, this, and then the second one is this loop, and the third one is this loop, and so on and so on. So then we're creating actually a tooltip for each and every column inside every row. So here we have about nine loops because there's 9 key values, there's 9 columns. And we're going to say the first column is going to be the column name. And this structure is very, very important. We're going to repeat it down below. So remember this structure. Column name, which is machine A, is the first column name. This is like this, all right, machine A. And then inside the column, we have a dictionary, right? And the dictionary has keys and values. The first one is value. This is always the same. And then you want to put the value you want. You can put anything you want. You can say red, right? But we don't want to say red for everything. We just want to say value, which is actually this, which is actually 435 for the first column, right? The second loop is machine B, and the value is 425 here. And then the value here is Germany when the country is column right here, all right? And then the type is always going to be marked down. So this is a very important structure. Remember it, column, and then the dictionary of keys and values that look like this. All right. You don't have to do it this way. This is over all rows and over all columns. We're putting a tooltip. But let's say we only want it over, let's take this out and let's take this out. We only want it over the first row because we have one dictionary here. the first row, and we'll go over the country column, and we'll go over the first row in the country column. First row in the country column is this, so it's going to be Germany, and we want to put the value we want to put in there. Let's say we'll put Glühwein, because that is what I love about Germany, among many other things. So we put Glühwein here, it's not there, and now we'll see when we hover over it, we'll see Glühwein. There's nothing here, there's nothing here, only here we see Glühwein, all right? Because we did one row and one column. Okay, so that's the advantage of Tooltip, the Tooltip data parameter. Then you can put, you can control which rows and which columns you want the tooltip on. Now let's hashtag this out. Let's just erase this for now. Okay, hashtag this one out, the tooltip data, and let's open this one, the tooltip parameter. Tooltip parameter is not as flexible. This is only a single tooltip for the entire column, meaning that anything you put in here is going to be applied to all rows. Okay, so this format is a dictionary, and inside the dictionary is the column name, right? Just like we had here. Remember, this is very important to remember. The column name, colon, and then another dictionary, right? So the column name, colon, another dictionary, and inside this dictionary we have the value, and then we're going to say use with both. I'll go over this in a second. So what we're doing here is we're looping over all the columns for I and DF columns, over the 9 columns, and we're creating a dictionary for each column. And the first column is going to be machines A, the second machines B, and then we're going to put the value of whatever that is. So you'll see here when we hover over it, machines A. Oh, wait, I didn't run it yet. Let me save it. Let me run it. Did I close everything? Yes. And now you'll see. You see it says machine B, machine B. So it's the same tooltip of the header. So this is really, you probably won't use it that much, but if you have a long data table and your header is not frozen or fixed in place, if the user scrolls down and they forget, wait, what is this column? They will have a tooltip that tells them what this column is. They'll have a tooltip here that will tell them what this column is in case they don't see the header, all right? So this is what the tooltip parameter is. You don't really control what column, what row you want the tooltip on. It's applied to all rows, but you can control what column you want this on. In this case, we're looping over all columns, so it's going to put the tooltip on all columns. Okay, so let's hashtag this out and look into the next parameter. Let's look into the header. The header's parameter is just for the header, and it's just one dictionary, probably the simplest parameter. The dictionary has a key, which has to be the name of the header of the column, the actual name, right? So if it says here machine B, you have to put machine B in there. Okay, right here. This is part description, which is right here, part description. And then the value, the key value of this dictionary is going to be what you want the tooltip to display. In this case, we want the same thing, part description. But in this case, we want the tooltip to display something else, so we're putting this different text. So that's why if you go over part description, you'll see part description tooltip. If you go over original supplier, you'll see a different text that we chose inside our tooltip header. Okay? Let's hashtag this out. Don't need this. And now let's open the tooltip data again. Actually, let's do this. Okay, it's a bit complicated, but I'm going to break it down for you. All right, so this tooltip data is exactly the same thing as right here, all right? But we're just formatting it, so it looks scary and all, but it's not. We're actually going to add gifs with this tooltip data. Save. You see this gifs? We're going to do that right here. So what we're doing here is, this is a list, a full list. Inside the list, we have a dictionary of each row, right? So we're actually going to loop over all rows in this dictionary. So we're going to create like 20 different dictionaries. And then inside all the rows, we're gonna put a tooltip only on 2 columns, on the machine's A column and the elapsed days column. Only those 2 columns are gonna have tooltips, right here, elapsed days and the machine A. Nothing else. Machine B doesn't have, country doesn't have, only those 2. All right. Now, this here, it looks like a lot, this dictionary of this column, but it's really not. It's really, if you take this out, it's the formatting. It's really just this. Remember, machine A is a column, then value, and then type, right? So it's just like this one. Column name, value, and type, right? The type is markdown, and the value, we're going to use string formatting for that. So what are we doing here? What we are doing here is we're saying, inside this column, the machine A, put a tooltip, and the tooltip value is going to be, there are blank blank, and it's going to be bolded. This is markdown, right? This is markdown, so this is going to be bolded. There are blank blank A machines, then B machines. Now, what are these blank means? When we format them, this one before the comma refers to this first blank, and this one refers to the second blank. Okay? So in this first one, we're saying there are blank. There are, we're going to string this, and we're going to say row of machine A. The row of machine A is actually the value of machine A, which is this value 435. 435 minus the value of machine B, minus 425, so that's 10, right? So this is 10, and we're saying absolute, so if it's a minus, if it's 5 minus 486, it's not going to be minus 481, it's just going to be 481 because we're using absolute. So this is going to be in here, the number, right? So anytime you see here the 10, the 7, the 23, this is the number that goes inside there. And then after the comma, the second blank, we're going to put a conditional in here. And we're going to say, if the row, if the value of machine A is bigger than the value of machine B, then put the text more inside of here, right here. If the value is not bigger, it's smaller than or equal, then put fewer, right, inside of here. So that's why you see 10 more machines A, 7 more A machines, and here you see 23 fewer because 300 is smaller than 323. Chapulín, one second, let me get my cat really wants to go and eat. I'm sorry about that. All right, so that was the first column. The second column we're doing here is the elapsed days, and we're doing something very similar. We're just formatting this. This is just like a value and type. You don't really need anything else, but we need the format because we're going to put the format inside of this string. We're going to put something inside of here, and what we're doing is if the row of elapsed days, if that value of the elapsed days is bigger than or equal to 18, if this value is bigger or equal to 18, which it is, then insert hyperlink. This is markdown language for hyperlink, okay? This hyperlink right here, which is the GIF that I downloaded from the web, from giphy.com, I think, right? And if it's not bigger than 18, else put this GIF, right? So that's why if I go over something that's higher than 18, I see the shipment is late. If it's lower than 18, the shipment is on my way. So you probably won't use these because this is just for fun, but you can put GIFs, you can put images, you can put anything you want. Let's say you have names of countries and you want to show a map or you want to show a nice image of that country, you can put an image there right here instead of a GIF. All right, if you have any questions, please, under the YouTube, ask me. I'll be more than glad to help you. All right, let's hashtag this out. So we'll move to the next one. The next one is conditional content. This is tooltip conditional. Tooltip conditional is another way to do a conditional tooltip. And here again, look at the formatting. It's a list. Inside this list, let's make this a little bit bigger. Inside this list, we have dictionaries, and each dictionary refers to a certain condition, right? Here we're saying of a certain column. Here we're saying if, oh, this is always the same, if, and then open another dictionary. You have to put filter query, and then this is actually what's going to change, these two things. We're saying if in the country column, the values in the country column equal Canada, right? So if the values in the country column equal Canada, which is right here above, then it's going to be type is going to be markdown, and the value is going to be Canada row, right? So if I put the tooltip here over Canada, I'll see Canada row. And this is, for example, is good because I only have one Canada row here, one Canada value in all of this column. So if I have a lot to the right or a lot to the left, a very long data table, I would be able to tell the user that you are on Canada row wherever they are with their mouse, whenever they hit this row. Same thing here is another condition, another dictionary. If is the same, filter is the same, and then we're just saying if the elapsed days column, the value is smaller than 0, then I'm going to put this error, right? So if elapsed days, the value is smaller than 0, minus 21, I'm going to put a tooltip errors on days lapsed in these rows. So everything in this row will have this tooltip of an error, all right? Another cool thing to do a conditional. All right, the last thing is styling. You can also style your Dash data table, and you can do this with selector and with rule, right? So you open the list, you put a dictionary in there, and then you use selector as the key and the rule as the key, and you can put this as the value, just copy paste this, and then the type of CSS that you want in there. So the background color is going to be purple, and the color of the text is going to be yellow. This is for all the tooltips. This does CSS for all the tooltips. I'm not sure if there's a way to do it for a specific tooltip. So now if I go there, you'll see Canada. Wait, did I save this? Save, run. And now you'll see I actually don't have any tooltip. Let's turn this on. Save. Okay. Now you'll see if you go in there, 300, 200, you see it has this purple background and the yellow text, which I find very pleasing to the eye. All right, so that was it. Remember to use the documentation. Remember to go in here and to read all about those parameters and read all about and see the examples here below. And have fun. Play around with it. Ask me questions if you're not sure about one parameter or the other. And that's it. Build some cool Dash web apps. If you'd like to join my Charming Data community, support me in creating more of these tutorials, more power to you. I hope you can support. I do offer Dash tips and tricks there and Plotly, and you'll get a chance also to talk to me if you want and get some consultation and some tips on how to start with Dash and building your own dashboard apps. Have fun. Always remember that we're better together. So help each other out and never give up. Keep practicing. Have a good one.